And good Monday morning, everybody. It's Siobhan again from At One Wellbeing. And Louise's meditation last night, which was absolutely beautiful, focused on our theme this week, which is around optimism. And I don't know about anybody else, but I feel more optimistic now about the future than I had done during the early stages of lockdown. And optimism is something that we can cultivate in ourselves because if we continue to have a pessimistic view of life, well, what do you think that does to our mental health and well-being? If you're continuously saying, these things are bad, everything's bad, that really does begin to wear you down. So what we want to focus on this week is optimism. And optimism is that sense that you look for the good in everything. And indeed, you look for the good in yourself, because we've talked about negative self-talk and the impact that can have on us and how we feel. And not even how we feel, it can affect us emotionally and it can affect our behavior. So if we look for the good in ourselves and in others, that is an optimistic viewpoint on life. And people talk about an attitude of optimism, and that's exactly what it is. It's about an attitudinal change, a shift in mindset to become more optimistic. And this week we're wanting to focus in on the things that you have been doing yourselves to make you feel more optimistic and more hopeful for the future. Because if we have hope for the future and hope that things will change, maybe not back to the normal that it was, but things will change in a positive way and that our lives will get back to some form of normality. So that feeling of hope for the future and that feeling that we will be masters of our own destiny and our attitude and our optimism will be enough to see us through. And it is about taking control and that sense of control that you have. Because if you feel that everything's happening and you have no control over it, well, then you're going to be less optimistic than you would be if you have an attitude of optimism. And I always say that optimism is thinking about the possibilities and not the impossibilities. Because if you're possibility thinking, then everything becomes brighter. If you think that there's a possibility in everything that you do, and there's a possibility and there's hope, well, then that is what optimism is about. And you expect the best possible outcome. Because you know what? If you expect bad things to happen or negative things to happen, well, then sometimes you can become master of your own destiny and those negative things will happen. So you expect the best possible outcome and you live in positive anticipation rather than living feeling, I suppose, fear. Fear is a very real emotion, by the way. I find fear one of the most negative emotions that I can feel, and it's one of the emotions that really can drag me down. So if you live in positive anticipation of what's going to happen and that we will all be well and that we will get through this together, and managing that self-talk and feeling that hope for the future, and you expect the best possible outcome. Because Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And if we're optimistic about the future, that possibility and that anticipation and that, thinking about the future in a positive way will have an impact on how you feel about yourself and how you feel about life. So this week, what we want to share is all of the optimistic feelings that you have, all of the hopes that you have for the future, all of the anticipation that you have when things become in our new normal. And, what is it that we can do during this time to build a more optimistic outlook? And this week, we're going to be looking at optimism versus pessimism. And we might touch again on that negative self-talk and the ability that you have to transform that and to change that. So that's the theme for this week. And we expect to see all you lovely, wonderful, fabulous, optimistic women sharing all of the beautiful things that are happening in your life that make you feel hopeful and that make you feel more optimistic. So have a great week and we'll be back to you during the week. Bye.